Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
You are listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin. I'm so happy to be here with you today. We're going to be talking about some of the earth changes, some of the information from the wolves with my friend, Mary McNerney. She's a very special person. She's going to tell us about her book, The Earth Speaks Up. And as you probably know, there are a lot of earth changes going on, and there's a lot of spiritual and physical evolution going on, and we will address that as well. And I know you'll learn a lot about that. So first, let me tell you about Mary, and then we're going to go into our program. Mary McNerney earned her law degree from Georgetown University, had a fellowship with the UN Commission on International Trade Law, and then worked for many years as a corporate and international lawyer in Boston and Prague. It was not her plan to write this book. She never imagined that the spirit of Earth would one day unmistakably, clearly, and shockingly speak to her. Mary says that the experience put her on an entirely different trajectory than she ever envisioned as a corporate lawyer. She shares, in a wild and wonderful way, I instead became a messenger on behalf of our planet Earth. Mary now lives in Massachusetts together with her husband and horses. She enjoys riding her horses through the woods and fields and being more deeply with the many dimensions of nature. Welcome, Mary. I'm so excited you're here.
Well, it's such a treat to be here with you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about how your book came into being, and if you could, describe to us what the Earth's voice sounds like.
Well, what I'll start with is I'll try and synopsize how it came into being, because it is a long story. And as you said, I was on a pretty standard career path as a corporate lawyer. And though I grew up on a farm in Ohio and always had an affinity for nature, I followed the traditional route and was engaged in the rational, logical, mental career. Until one day I was home enjoying my free time and wondering, what shall I do today? And then I heard clearly and unmistakably, take dictation from the earth. And I knew right away this was the angelic realm speaking, but I didn't really know what to do with it. I'm not an illustrious spiritual guru or other spiritual thinker, and so I tabled the idea. It seemed quite profound until one day, a couple months later, I heard the exact same thing again. I didn't know what to do with it, but I figured I'll go out and give it a try. And I sat on the edge of the woods in our backyard with pen and paper in hand, and just sat there. And then all of a sudden the dictation started coming. And over the ensuing months and years, what came forth is this book, which is given to all of us from Earth and the angelic realm as this new guide into our true role on Earth and our new purpose, manifesting our purpose now with Earth. And I love sharing this story, though, Julia, because it wasn't just about me. As I said, I wasn't someone with special gifts or special training or special spiritual abilities. This is an innate capability we all have, and that Earth is now inviting us to all enter into this communication, this new relationship with her. And she gives us this book. This is on how to do that and how to co-create with her and in this new world.
Co-creation is definitely a big message. You and I talked about that. The animals are encouraging us to co-create. Certainly the wolves are. And you're getting the same message from the earth. So this is part of her evolution. But an interesting part of this is when we talked earlier, you and I both heard a similar message about these times. The wolves said we were crossing a line. You know, everyone has to make a choice about where they're putting their consciousness. And you heard that a chapter had ended. So can you tell us a little bit about your interpretation of that?
Yeah, it's just similar to what you had found, and I think other people are feeling this too. I mean, it's patently obvious. We're going through deep change now with this pandemic is shutting down our society the way we've normally functioned and pushing us into a new way, a different way of engaging, which we're not familiar with. And I think a lot of people have been feeling this, a change. And what was explained to me, what the earth explained to me is that I love this this parallel she gave. It's or this analogy she gave. It's like we've come to the end of a chapter in a book, and we're at that white page, that blank page between chapters. We've finished one, but we haven't yet started the new chapter. And this is where we as humanity are, we as the world is, at this blank page, kind of wrapping up everything from the old chapter, our old way of being in the world, letting go of old habits, old patterns. It's this time of letting go and opening ourselves to prepare for the next new chapter, which is an entirely different way of being, a new adventure, new exploration. But we're not quite there yet. We're in this.
Well, you just said a really interesting thing to me about dropping patterns and letting go of things, because that's part of how we evolve. It's the energy from what we put down that we bring into a higher state. And so I guess that we're letting go of that to move into a larger shift, a larger way of being. Is that your thought about it?
Yeah, I think, Julia, it's exactly as you're saying. And I think the exciting part of this larger way of being is really learning, becoming aware of the innate capabilities we have to work together with Earth and nature and with our creating our whole life and our whole well-being, too. So it's all about exploring, letting go of the old restrictions of our perception and being able to enter into reawakening those innate capabilities, which we all have. As I found communicating with the earth, you found communicating with the wolves. These are abilities we've really always had in the direction we individually and collectively are going.
So some of what's going on with the strange seasons and the weather, that's part of the shift. I guess things are sort of blended together now, as we're moving into a higher level.
Yeah, I think it's because we're going through individual changes and societal changes, and so is the earth. And these things we see as these bizarre, we can say bizarre weather patterns. It's a lot of that. As the earth changes, she can no longer hold on to her old habits, her old ways of operating, and the burdens she's carried on behalf of humanity, which are our thoughts, our emotions, our negative way of being in the world, which is accumulated through eons and ages, which gets stuck in her landscape and in her etheric field, her atmosphere. And weather patterns are
fear and negativity. So people who are not sure what we're talking about lower emotions and lower thoughts. Negativity, basically.
Yeah. In negativity, not just from today, that argument we had with our neighbor today, it's the negativity accumulated through the ages, the battle energy, and the fear, which humanity, and the idea of domination, which humanity has kind of inculcated into our way of being in the world. Those are aspects of who we are, who we thought we were, that we can't hold anymore and the earth can't hold anymore. And weather patterns are her only way of clearing that from her system. Hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever. But if we choose to join with her in working co-creatively, we can clear that and create
Perfectly
this.
said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's our letting go of our perception of the world and getting a new one. We have been talking with Mary McNerney about her book, The Earth Speaks Up, and how we affect the earth and how the earth affects us. We're going to talk about, when we come back, where to put your consciousness, how to see things, how we can possibly align with the earth and create a happier planet. So when we come back, you'll learn even more. Let's go to break now.
Listen up. The wealth you receive is a result of your personal relationship with the soul of money, meaning your spiritual well-being affects your ability to create abundance. Jennifer Bloom works with people to mend the spiritual disconnects that block up the cash flow. How's your relationship with yourself? Are you in balance with the divine? I know, these are big questions, but there are answers. Take Jennifer's free money relationship quiz to learn where you need to focus your energy and watch yourself grow into the abundance you deserve. Trust the divine. Learn to receive. You are worthy of all the wealth you seek. Visit jenniferbloom.com and click on the purple banner to take the free money relationship quiz. That's Jennifer Bloom, BLOOME.com.
Message Delivery by Lisa Ann. You can't make this stuff up. Tune in every first and third Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Message Delivery is an inspirational show about the journey to enlightenment and spirituality. For more information or your own personal message delivery, visit angelmessages2u.com. That's Angel Messages, the number 2, the letter U.com.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin on TransformationTalkRadio.com each second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. We'll take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were. This intuitive healer studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Visit OneTrueSelf.com.
Are you ready to put down that drink or drug for good? Are you struggling to maintain your recovery from addictive behaviors? Do you need help with a family member or loved one who's in early recovery or battling addiction? Get the help and guidance you need by arranging a Recovery Recharged phone session with me, Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx, certified life and recovery coach. Call 1-800-889-1757. Make an appointment today or go to my website, pushybroadfromthebronx.com, and click on the link that says Recovery Recharged. Don't wait. Get the help you need today. This is Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune into 3 Things I've Learned with Susan Dolce every first and third Tuesday of the month at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. Join Susan and her guests as they share the stories that shift our souls about radical transformations, courageous breakthroughs, and life lessons. 3 Things I've Learned with Susan Dolce. For more information, go to transformationtalkradio.com or visit Susan's website at susandolce.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, ONETrueSelf.com, and you're listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. We're talking with Mary McNerney about her book, The Earth Speaks Up, which has fascinating information about contacting the Earth and living in alignment. We're talking about changes on the Earth, what you can do, and how they affect you. So, Mary, you and I both feel that the veil which separates physical and spiritual reality is thinning. How do you think this affects us? Do you think that it leads us to greater possibilities?
Well, I think, just as you say, Julia, that this veil is thin, and it's actually, I think it's always been very thin, the veil between the worlds, that we as humans perceive ourselves in this everything we can see and touch and hear, that's the world. But no, it's so much more than that. We live in this multi-dimensional world, and I think it's always been thin. We just didn't know that. But now we are becoming more and more aware that there's these other dimensions. And so that opens more flow between our dimension, our humanity, and other consciousness, the angelic realm, the nature realm, the earth realm. And it makes it a kind of an exciting time, don't you think? I mean, you've had these experiences with the wolves, too, guiding you into that, connecting in that other way.
People are open now to believing these things and understanding that they're greater and bigger messages. So to take what you said and to give us a quick synopsis, you're saying that part of the shift and the evolution that we're going through right now is greater intuitive abilities and greater ability to go into the spiritual world, but at the same time we need to remain grounded with the earth. Is that about right?
Yeah, that is about right, but also recognizing that being grounded with the earth is allowing a deeper connection to the wisdom and the guidance that is flowing forth from earth to us. And as I say this, earth is prompting me to also say the love which is flowing forth from earth and always has been flowing forth from earth to us. And people, we haven't attuned ourselves to that. And so the earth is always bringing forth this astounding nourishment for all of nature. Trees inhale it through their root system, but we as humanity have disconnected. And earth really needs us to recognize, ground into that, draw from that. And when I think of this, I'm reminded of a story you told me about how when you were dealing with in uncharted territory and fearful about, there was some dog that was about to get aggressive.
My dog in the park, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that story you told me about how you dealt with that grounding into the earth energy. Share that one with everyone. That's
okay. All right. I had my dog at the park. He's a 110-pound black German Shepherd who's well-behaved, but I have to be careful when dogs who are irritable are around. And someone had a young Doberman on a long, stretchy leash. And when he came over and snapped and growled at me, of course, my dog became defensive. And I was like, oh, no, what will I do? And this energy rushed up from the earth up to my solar plexus. And I yelled, "You don't know how to control your dog. Get away from here." And she and the dog just immediately left, whereas before she'd just been saying, like, oh, I don't know what to do about him. But the funny thing was, when I was walking out of the park, I don't know how many people heard me, but they were all thanking me for that. So when I look at it from now, it looks as though they received the earth energy that I pulled up into me.
Mm-hmm. And I love that story because all it took was you shifting your awareness to ground into the earth and give and receive what she had to give. And this is a key example of how we can work with the earth. And it doesn't always have to come, in that instance, what you needed was that clear, strong earth force which came up. But in every instance, the earth has guidance to offer us what we need, as she does with everything that's rooted in her. And
I was just thinking, when you were talking about the love, the word earth is an anagram for heart. The heart is the middle chakra. And that's how we ground into both heaven and earth simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't realize that anagram thing, but that's I think quite appropriate. And the thing is, grounding into earth and heaven simultaneously, just as you say, because for so long our society has schooled us into just connecting with the mental, the logical, the rational, and the heavenward. All our school, our education takes us into the logical, mental, and our current religious doctrines take us heavenward, up. We've been disconnected from the other half of the reality, which is the earth energy and the creative energy, and which comes through our intuition.
And then I know that there's some people who feel fear about what's going to happen. I would like to point out that if you have a connection with the earth will protect you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
radiate protective energy around you.
Absolutely. This is what the earth wants to give us. And that's why she's given us this book, to guide us through these times of changes with this support and this love. And I think as she conveyed in that example about ending one chapter and beginning the other, we don't have to approach it with fear. And I think fear is the way mankind throughout history has dominated the earth. We're afraid of the other. We're afraid of the earth and her violent storms or cold winters or whatever. And so through the ages, we've repressed the earth energy, and we've fought against others in the world, our battle energy throughout the ends. In this fear, in this battle energy, this is what Earth is inviting us to let go of now. Move into creation. Move into the new chapter, which I believe will be kind of a nourishment, receiving and giving nourishment from and to Earth and ourselves.
So we're ending a karmic pattern.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, Julia, just as you say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I know that one way when we rewrite things is we bring in new vibrations. So when you're looking into the future, could you give us an example of a couple of good things you might see if you were projecting the best of it?
Well, I really do feel positive about this, and I feel like, and I'm also told now as I say this to you, as we each feel positive toward this new change and this new time, that's what we create. And this is what the earth is encouraging us to move into. Step away from fear. Step away from our mental concerns and our mental angst. Move into this connection with earth, which brings us love, and allow that to flow through us. So it's really about, I think, what we are choosing to see, what we are choosing to create with our thoughts, with our emotions. And I think this is something I think the wolves have told you, that what you choose with your mind, you can create. Isn't it something?
Oh, yes. They very clearly pointed out that almost anything that's negative, that recurs, that we think about a lot, and this is a homely example, but I expanded my garden and I could not get the grass or the weeds out. And one day I could just feel their consciousness so clearly saying, don't see the weeds growing. That's all you think about when you're in the garden. Mm-hmm. And when I changed my thought to there are not so many weeds or the weeds are easy to get out, we could say that about problems. What if we thought there are not so many problems and they're easy to solve? I figured out new ways of getting rid of the weeds. I figured out how to use the moon so they didn't grow. And I used what the wolf suggested. But the fascinating thing to me is, look at how all that new information came in and how I realized what to do as soon as I changed my thought.
Yeah, and isn't that the wonderful thing, Julia? As soon as we let go of our old thought patterns, our old habits, it opens us up to this wonderful new information. It's all parallel. This is what your experience in the garden. As soon as we let go of our pre-existing conceptions of Earth and life on Earth, wonderful new things can come forth. But fear and worry and doubt, those are hindrances. Those negative emotions kind of shut down what can be brought forth.
They open the door. They close the door to solutions. But when you change your thoughts, the door opens.
Exactly. And then when more than one of us changes our thoughts and raises our thoughts and opens our minds and our intuition in these new ways, it creates a resonance. It creates change because we're working at the energetic level, the creative level, which is the foundation for our physical world. So as we change our thinking, as we open ourselves up to a deeper connection with the earth, therefore, what comes forth is something more wonderful than what we had entrained in our minds before. It's all about
the vibration opens up for everyone.
Yeah.
Who can receive
And the wonderful thing is, I've found when a few of us engage in this way, that resonant effect expands and expands and expands.
Okay, so let's hold that thought. We've been talking with Mary McNerney about the earth and how it wants us to change. And we're going to talk about the feminine energy on our planet, other ways that we can change our consciousness to bring in this beautiful energy. When we come back, you'll learn more. So let's go to break now.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Hey everyone, it's me, Psychic Medium Jamie.
And me, Spirit Walker Nicole from Shades of Spirit, bringing you another Shades of Spirit tip of the week. Jamie, have you ever wondered if you might be an empath?
Yes, I have, and some signs that we may be an empath include an inexplicable desire to avoid crowds in places like movie theaters, shopping centers, and restaurants.
You know, sometimes I'm able to walk into a room with other people, and I know exactly how they're feeling, even if no one is saying a word.
I can attend social gatherings or other events and find myself so emotionally exhausted and physically drained that I could probably sleep for a week.
If any of these examples resonate with you, please come check out our new live podcast, Shades of Spirit. It's on every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on Transformation Talk Radio.
You can also find us at shadesofspirit.com, where you can book your appointment or call us at 858-684-7575.
What we've been taught and told is not all there is. Life is all about energy, and the energy you feel is real. Tune into the Energy Paradigm each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com with Dr. Vic. The energy paradigm is an eye-opening, mind-shifting, transformative, and earth-shattering way to live, work, and do business that will enable you to unlock your magic every day. Visit theenergyparadigm.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm the host of Nothing But Now, Mindful Living with Dr. Mary Angela McGuire on Transformation Talk Radio. I share ideas, insights, and tools you can use to release yourself from fearful and negative thinking and live from a place of clarity and confidence. Please join me in each show where we challenge ourselves to change together. Please go to my website, McGuireLifeCoach.com. That's McGuireLifeCoach.com. See you next time.
You know, marriage is not always easy, but skills that improve communication go a long way. Tune in to the Relationship Rehab Show, Recovering Happiness in Your Love with Nancy Landrum and Dr. Pat each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Nancy is an author and teacher empowering couples to create and sustain loving marriages. Learn to listen, speak, and handle conflict with respect so your love can flourish. To learn more about Nancy and her work, visit NancyLandrum.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, ONETrueSelf.com, and you're listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration in a new state of mind. We're talking to Mary McNerney about the feminine on the planet. We're going to talk about manifestation and share an exercise with you so you can clear the energy around you. But Mary, let's just jump into the feminine. You and I are both aware that we're returning to the feminine. It was once represented by the indigenous people, and we know that they live very much in harmony with nature. But for the past 2,000 years, it's been eradicated in many ways, but we can feel the energy coming back. So could you tell me a little bit about what you feel and see about the feminine energy?
The feminine energy, the earth is inherently a feminine force, the yin force, the yin and yang, yin force, feminine force. And the earth herself always seeks balance. And what the earth has found now is that the pull, partly of what comes through humanity, but partly other forces beyond humanity, has pulled too far into the patriarchy, the yang dominant. It's an unbalanced existence away on the planet now. And so the earth seeks to always come into balance. And as the earth seeks that, she needs us to come into balance. And this time she needs us to work together with her. And so to bring forth that feminine aspect of ourselves, which is not just restricted to women. We all have, men as well, have the yin and yang. We all have this inherent balance. And she's saying, when I speak about the feminine, I am speaking about the creative force, which is within each one of you. There is this creative essence which you have relegated to your minds, to your mental, rational capabilities. But the creative force you each have moves far beyond that, far deeper than that. And as you bring your roots down into this new connection with Earth, you'll find this new creative power. Well, it's not a new creative power. It's new to you, but it has always been there within you, latent. And this is the feminine essence, which is moving forth through the planet much more strongly, and therefore moving forth into the human society much more strongly, and into each one of yourselves more strongly. And the Earth is saying, and this is what I wish to awaken you to, because this feminine essence has true power. And getting the
more like the intuitive, spiritual side of us that co-creates.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would also be more magical, because we know the world was more magical before the last 2,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. The magical, which was repressed and suppressed and subjugated over the past 2,000 years.
And particularly in the Middle Ages. And I think that's one reason it's so hard for women to express their power, to express their message, because so many of us were killed during that time who were magical or who were healers. That's definitely to come out of hiding.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in a way, everyone with those abilities come out of hiding, but we have hidden those skills within ourselves. We each have those magical abilities, which are hidden within ourselves, which need to come up within ourselves and engage in this creative, this magical new way. And I know that's one thing the wolves were showing you, how to enter into
how
this
easy
magical.
it was, how it's just like changing channels and tuning into a frequency and seeing something. It's just lost those frequencies. And that was something I was just thinking about. If people aligned with, maybe we could ask the earth to help us awaken those magical frequencies and energies.
Yeah, and what the earth has done in this book is that give us little exercises to help us start to tune in to our magical abilities to work on the creative, energetic level. And
go ahead.
And what's coming forth now is the earth is seeing us caught up in this concerns about the pandemic, concerns about the election. These are distractions. Move below that, move deeper into your own creative powers and what you choose to manifest. She's saying, connect with me, connect with your earth, and I will bring forth through you what needs to manifest as you attune to me in this way. Bring your intuition, your creative essence together with me.
Well, Magda philosophy and metaphysics says the same thing. Forget about the outer world. Work on your world. Work on you. Work on your connection. Go deeper. And when people do that and their lives improve, it's, as we said earlier, it's a resonance for the entire planet. It's way more important than what people think.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about these, they're changing the frequency, and it brings to mind to me what we as humanity have created, our World Wide Web, which is on on a frequency level. But the earth and all of nature have its own World Wide Web that all the trees and plants tune into, and all the animals, the wolves, the horses, the birds in their migration are always tuning in to the earth's World Wide Web. But we as humanity need to learn to, change the channel. Time to change the channel and connect into the Earth's web. And changing that channel is bringing ourselves into connection with our intuitive, our gut feeling, our inner sense, our inner power.
And I think, too, people need to realize animals can tell you a lot more than what you think. They can help you. They can give you information. They can show you things. And while this may just sound like I'm just talking, it's not. There is a truth. There are lots of things going on in the physical world that can help you immensely. If you've noticed, I know that there are animals here everywhere when there weren't before. Have you noticed that, Mary?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel part of what the pandemic thing has done is quiet down human activity so the animals in nature can express more, bring forth more of what they have. Have you felt it, especially during this time of the pandemic time?
Definitely. It's almost as if the animals are coming out and saying, okay, it feels better here. I'll come and be with you. Or the birds are like, I have a special song for you. And, when we see those animals, they're actually giving us energy, whether you recognize that or not. They're there for a reason.
Giving messages, exactly. And all we have to do is
to show us that we're supported.
Yeah. And once we start changing the frequency of our mentality, we can tune in to the messages they're giving us more fully.
Definitely. Now, for some people, they're having a lot of trouble with lower collective consciousness and fluctuations in the electromagnetic field. I know you have a good exercise for this, so tell us a little bit about it, and then if you would share the exercise.
Well, The one thing I always feel it's important to share with people is we are all concerned about climate change, and we engage in our maybe climate justice rallies or protest marches or that kind of thing, because we think, well, it's big government's job. What can I do? Nothing more I can do. But in actuality, there's a tremendous amount we can do on the individual creative level, work to clear or heal the climate issues that are going on right now. And one of these things with the climate issues is not just the carbon buildup, which we're all aware of and science is aware of. There's also been this tremendous buildup of electromagnetic energy, which is spewed from our computer systems, our cell phone systems, our cell phone towers, especially our 5G towers, from radar, from satellite, all that stuff. We don't see it. So we think, oh, it's gone. We know it, electromagnetic energy is spewed out, but we don't see it, so it's gone. It's not. It's building up in the Earth's atmosphere the same way as carbon is building up. And because our North Pole, as we know, the North Pole is magnetic north. It draws your compass needle to the north. There's a magnetic pole there. This electromagnetic energy, which our society is spewing, is being pulled to the North Pole. And that's causing a lot, or one of the factors, which is causing a lot of the glacial melting and the warm-up, because the Earth can't handle that energy anymore. But the wonderful thing is, there are amazing tools on the planet that, with humanity chooses to engage with, we can help the Earth clear that energy. She can't do it alone. She's not physically capable of doing it alone. But when humanity joins in, as you said, Julia, magic can be created. Magic can be brought forth. And the one thing I have found is this marvelous rock called pyrite. It's I guess a type of crystal or gem. I think it's called fool's gold, and you have a lot of it down in Georgia. You've told me, Georgia.
Yeah.
In Georgia, you've told me, Julia. Yeah, this rock, and all rocks carry vibrations. As people throughout the ages have worked with gemstones and crystals, a lot of people work with crystals for their creative capabilities and healing capabilities. Pyrite is one of those special types of stones. And this has the ability, when humanity connects with it consciously, to transmute, to transform, to change the negative electromagnetic currents. But once again, it can't do this alone. We individually need to awaken ourselves and connect with that rock and co-create with it and activate it. And I think right now this pyrite has been coming forth to me very strongly in wanting to be worked with. It's a very communicative rock, very communicative gemstone crystal.
And people can do this exercise even if they're in the city. You don't have to be in nature to do this exercise, right?
Right. You can do this from anywhere. And so connecting with pyrite, there's many things we can do through connecting with rocks or gems to clear energy. And there's also exercises in the book that's given. And I'm going to give you a simple one in the book. I just flagged the pyrite so you're informed to work with that rock consciously. But I'm going to run you through, I know we're running low on time, but a quick little exercise that when I do it with Earth, I spend more minutes than we'll do now, but it's envisioning, we'll start with envisioning a landscape you care about that matters to you. Might be your backyard, might be a little park, anything you care about, and get that very clear in your mind's eye. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read you some of what the words that Earth has given us in this book to guide us into this exercise.
I'm looking at right now. Let's see. Bear with me just a minute. I thought I had this page. This is our
So what does pyrite do? Does it block some of these vibrations?
What pyrite does is it's capable of transmuting, of changing. And there's many things in nature that are brought forth for Earth to help change her, clear her energetic fields. Swamps, the Everglades used to do this for Earth. Change negative vibrations, stagnant energy, clear energy. The Amazon does it. That's why the Amazon is so important. Also, willow trees transmute and change energy. So in a way, willow trees, like all trees, are sacred trees. But rocks, too, when you attune to them, and invite them to bring forth their power into the world, their capability world, and consciously ask them, join with me in transmuting this negative electromagnetic energy. That's what they do. They do it on their own, but their capability is magnified when we consciously connect and join in with them and activate them. There's a wonderful book, a woman who's had the same experience as I have with pyrite, Sharon McAllister, Awakening Your Crystals. She's out of Scotland. And she gives some wonderful guidance in awakening pyrite. But pyrite
we could just hold it and see it as awakened and feel the energy going back and forth between us and the crystal and then down into the earth, and ask it to transmute whatever negative energy that is there right now. Just ask it to do that, to change the energy.
Yeah,
and think about the North Pole when we're doing it, if that's where the energy is located.
And it's pyrite is specifically capable of transmuting, changing electromagnetic energy. And so we can join with pyrite in doing. Do I have time to run through this exercise, Julia?
Yes, we go quickly. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So picture this landscape you've chosen to work with. Picture it in your mind's eye, and select this region, and also invite pyrite to join in this exercise with you. And now, as you hold this place in your mind's eye, bring a current of pure light energy into it. Envision that energy bursting forth with spark and light and wisdom. This current of ancient wisdom saturates the region you have selected. Be with that current and allow it to bring forth what is good from you and to you. This is the current of creativity, which always encircles your planet and virtually all planets. This is the current which can and does change water into wine.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And the earth instructs us to use this exercise regularly. And as we each do this in a selected area, different areas, the vibration moves beyond that and moves into the world. And that's how change is created.
So let me talk just about one more thing, and that is that I think a lot of people think we're evolving, or we're just going to go through a period where we're more evolved. And to some degree, that's true. There are downloads of energy that lift us to a higher point. I think, though, sometimes people forget that we have a physical body that's made on Earth. We chose to come to this planet, and this time around, our evolution is a combination of ourselves and the Earth's evolution. It's both this time. One can't happen without the other.
Right. Exactly. That's putting it perfectly. And so what the Earth has done is give us guidance through this book, and continually giving us guidance, as you found through the wolves and through all of nature, as you've mentioned, to the animals around us, to help us move into this with her. Because one way or the other, we got to make this leap of change. And it'll be easier and more rewarding when we consciously engage and creatively engage.
When we intend it.
Yeah, yeah. And when we step away from fear or dread or whatever we've got wrapped up in ourselves right now, especially with these pandemic stuff, step away, step back, and recognize the love and the guidance that this planet is bringing to us and her need for us to step into our own, in working with our own intuition and our own divine feminine presence.
And I think along with that, I just saw an image of people all over the world imagining and envisioning the most beautiful, cleanest, pristine, happy earth imaginable. And then I just saw those places occurring like all over the earth, and that was such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Julia. I love just you putting forth that image and we all taking that up in our minds, and that resonates through us out into the world, and then that's what comes forth. You know?
That must be what we're supposed to intend. So let me ask you to tell our listeners, share your website, and tell them where they can find your book.
My website is MaryMcNerney.com, and it's all one word, Mary, and last name is McNerney.com. And that'll give you a little more information on how this book came about, and you can give some sample exercises on the website too. And the book is available at Barnes & Noble or Amazon, or through your local bookstore too.
So everyone go there, find out more, get the book, work on the exercises, and let's intend a beautiful world and a beautiful life together. So I wanted to thank you for tuning in. I hope you will think about these concepts and think about evolving with the earth and your magical powers, and you'll see them coming into being for you, and you'll see yourself finding those frequencies. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter on my website, onetrueself.com, onetrueself.com, and receive many tips about the energetic weather, developing on a spiritual level, and finding a higher vibration. So I want to thank you for tuning into the Power of Inspiration and Awakening show, where you can experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. Please join me on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, and 9 a.m. Pacific. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here next time.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin, to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you, to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.